All right, welcome back to the Virtue Bowling Supply YouTube channel. My name is Chris, and I'm here to bring you guys the high rev perspective.
And my name is Josh, and I'll be bringing the low rev perspective.
Today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new 900 Global Viking, and I'm going to be comparing that to the One Ovation and the Phase 2.
And I'll be comparing it to the Hammer Black Widow Tour V1 and the Severe Collision. These videos will give us and you an idea of what these pieces look like going down the lane. At the end, we will give our honest, unbiased review anywhere from nuts to trash. Today we are here at Bolero Mesa on a fresh house shot. With that being said, make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you out on the lanes.
All right, after seeing the Viking go down the lane, this one to me seemed somewhat niche. Personally, I feel like it was like slightly cleaner than the Origin, like the original Origin, and it was still pretty quick to friction. It almost reminded me of like a slightly stronger Absolute. It definitely wanted to be a little bit cleaner. I feel like it flowed pretty well, but the ones that I did get to the friction kind of early and didn't hockey stick off of it, and it's kind of blended it a little bit better, so I kind of liked that version of it, but definitely a little bit stronger of like an Absolute almost. But for me, I definitely felt somewhat niche. So now I'm going to go ahead and compare that to the One Ovation. All right, now the One Ovation is definitely comparable to the Viking. I did realize that I needed to be a little more intentional with hand positions with the One Ovation. If I got it a little too forward, it never really wanted to see the friction the right way like the Viking did. The One Ovation, if I had to kind of get around it a little bit more, just because it is a more forward shape overall than the Viking, it doesn't have quite the friction response as the Viking as well. So definitely need to be a little bit straighter and a little more intentional with my hand positions on that one. So now I'm going to go ahead and compare it to the Phase 2. All right, so the Phase 2 is definitely a complement to the Viking. Personally, I would find it more of a ball down, something in the middle of the bag. I do think the Viking is a bigger, kind of stronger core-wise. It's a little bit weaker of a cover, but honestly, the core kind of helps it really start up where it needs to. And the Phase 2 being slightly weaker, but also stronger cover. Definitely wanted to blend the friction a little bit more. I needed to play a little bit further to the right just because it didn't have that friction response. I wanted to be pretty slow and rounded, so a lot of really benchmarky shape, something I would go to after the Viking. All right, final thoughts on the Viking. For me, overall, I feel like this one is just slightly too niche for me to put it in the fire category. So I think I'm gonna have to stick it in the meh category. It's just hard to tell where it kind of fits, at least in my bag, where it needs to fit in the gap to be versatile enough to really kind of take places. This one, here it struck a decent amount of times, but I do feel like it's somewhat niche where you feel like it's pretty clean, but also feel like it wants to be strong with the core. So just trying to find where that fits. Just not too sure of how versatile it's going to be. So it's going to be a meh for me.
Just threw 10 shots with the new 900 Global Viking. This ball for me was a little cleaner of a piece. It is forward coming off the end of the pattern, but the shininess in the cover felt like for me I was able to kind of bump and stay closer to that friction and kind of chuck it a little bit more, throw it a little faster, but it was still big enough to kind of get off the inside portion of the lane. If I did get quick, it was a little scary, a little hesitant on whether or not it was going to hook. That was kind of really the big red flag for me with this ball, but when I did get it right, it stayed there in a good way. It allowed it to continue down lane and shape and go through the pocket the right way. So now we're gonna go ahead and throw 5 shots with the Black Widow Tour V1 and see how it compares. Just wrapped up shots with the Tour V1. This ball was a lot smoother of a shape. I did actually have to end up playing even closer to the friction just because I stayed in the same spot and you could just see how much lazier off the end of the pattern it was. It was still clean through the front, but again, it didn't want to be as angular off friction as the Viking. So now we're gonna go ahead and throw 5 shots with the severe collision and see how it compares. Just threw 5 shots with the severe collision. Instantaneously, I could see how much bigger of a ball this was compared to really both of the pieces I threw, the Black Widow and the Viking. First shot, I missed a little in, and every other ball that I've thrown there today hasn't hooked, and that one actually did hook. And that was kind of like the first, flash to me that easily 2 to 3 boards more overall. I felt like I was able to get it to friction, and it just started up almost a full zone sooner than the Viking for me, which this ball again has been one of my favorites on camera and just in general recently. But again, I would say this is about a step up from the Viking. Final thoughts on the 900 Global Viking. This ball for me, I wasn't quite sure what to expect. I've reading the notes from 900. It was kind of like a ball that was really in between a couple other ones, and so I was a little unsure, but seeing it go down the lane, I really enjoyed the way this ball shaped. Not the best ball out there, but again, if I could touch it with a little bit of surface, I think that's where it would help blend that cliff out a little bit more when you miss a little into the what I call the soup. So, but anyway, for today, final rating for this ball is going to have to be a fire. I did like the way it went through the pins and how it shaped down lane. Again, I just think adding a little bit of surface would make it go that much more.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys found this video useful, make sure to like it, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.